As we smile into the camera for another week, here we are
Smiling
on the Top 40 Timeline video show where we talk about rock and roll, funny stuff, whatever actually comes into our minds, really.
Yeah.
Isn't it? It's,
Leah's trivia, though, because
Leah's trivia, it's rock and roll, it's trivia, it's
yeah,
music.
and
And
again,
we have
you and I
fun
have
with
been
it.
in radio a long, long time.
Oh, yeah.
Leah, Mandy, we've all been fans of music for a long, 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 long time, and we're still learning stuff on this.
It'll never end.
Every
like
week I learn something from Leah and her trivia,
Yeah.
And we're brought to you this week by Mix 105, and Big Daddy and the Top 40 Timeline is on every morning, Monday through Friday on Mix 105. I am the stop playing with my musical instruments there, you.
Who's in musical instruments?
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
I'd like to
saying
say
that.
we'd like to say playing
Well,
with my.
he's got a big thing going on this weekend.
Yeah,
doesn't
he does. He's got a big weekend for Macy Strong Weekend.
Yeah.
And it's a little girl with some health problems. God, she's a sweetheart. Go to mix105indie.com and link up into the Facebook, and you'll see her picture. God bless her. There she is, right there.
Yeah.
Isn't she a pretty little gal?
Yeah.
It's a Macy Strong Weekend for her all weekend. Please donate.
Absolutely. Please check it
Mix105indie.com.
out.
And our friends at Austin. Have you ever noticed, whenever you take a picture of Austin, he never smiles. He's like a rock star on an album cover. You know what I mean?
You know what? Triplets he has, right?
Yeah, well, of course,
He's
yeah.
got young triplets.
Three of them.
Well, triplets.
Three, yeah.
That means three.
Running the radio station. He is in the military as well. Like, this guy's just.
He's one of our superheroes at Air Radio.
And I do want to mention this.
Thank you, Austin, for everything you do.
Everybody does a lot of the hashtag
We
stuff.
love
So if you can't find the Mix 105, whatever, go to hashtag Macy Strong Weekend.
Yeah, support them
Hashtag
this weekend.
Macy Strong Weekend. You can check it out
It
there.
starts today, I think.
Today,
It's
yeah,
today
yeah,
at
yes.
noon or something
Yeah.
is when everything starts. And this
And they're
young...
they're having some celebratory things too, because it was their our birthday too last weekend. It was their July 4th.
At Air
weekend.
Radio, we have a family of radio stations.
Yep.
Our show is heard on many radio stations around the world, but we have our own family inside that, which includes
Mike Devine.
And Mix 105 in Indiana, Party Dog Radio.
Oh, God, we could talk about a whole lot of stations, I think,
Radio
for a while.
GTA,
There's quite a
FM
few.
108, Halton Hills Online,
few.
our community station. We're all tied together, and we all share the same programming too. So, and the news, weather, and
you can.
sports.
It's okay.
You go ahead with whatever you have to say there, Mr. Lakin.
I was just touching her.
Oh, you stop touching her.
I can do it.
She was touching me. I said, stop touching
me.
me. Stop touching me. All right, so support
We're
that
like
now.
siblings here, really.
We are.
No, it's
It's like
I'm
this
the
show.
younger brother.
But
I'm the middle.
But,
I'm the middle child.
But yeah, and you're the one in the back seat with and in the summertime in the station wagon bouncing around. And here we are.
That is very true, though. I did do that.
And stop
Very much
touching me.
so.
And we make up.
And then we got Mandy, who's the younger, the youngest sibling.
Yeah.
She's
like the little
She was
She's the
sister.
little girl that watches everything, doesn't say much, but she takes everything in.
She was the oops baby.
Yes. All right, we're going to kick off the show with Leah, and she's going to tell us about Elton John and Bernie Taupin.
Yes, what a pair, those two.
Yeah, they are.
So Elton John and Bernie Taupin wrote "Don't Go Breaking My Heart." Used to love that song when it came out. Oh, God,
yeah,
just
it
like the
was
rest of the world.
huge.
Yeah.
Under the pseudonyms Anne Orson and Carte Blanche.
Yeah. They actually, there's a bunch of tunes they wrote, even for Prince. That went under these pseudonyms.
Oh, Elton! People don't know how much Elton did behind the scenes
amount
prior
of-
to getting big.
The amount
Elton
of stuff
is.
he did.
Yeah.
If I had to pick one artist, and I've been in radio a long time, I've played a lot of hits over the years, I would have to say Elton's got to be number one. Because, I mean, I was around, I'm 62 now, so I grew up in the 70s and the 80s. The Beatles and the Stones, I was, 8, 9 years old. I mean,
Yeah.
I liked it, but it didn't have any impact on me until I got into my teens. Like, that's when Top 40 radio was
born.
born. And when you're in your
Yeah.
teens, that's what you love that stuff in the 20s. But,
So- Sorry.
but Elton
lots
John,
to
I
do,
think, is probably the most, the greatest musician, I believe, of the 20th century.
I met him. It would
21st.
have been 1973.
Yeah, you met him, didn't you? Yeah.
And so when you watch that movie, that was done. What the heck was it called? It wasn't called Elton or whatever, but the latest one that they did, the biopic one on Elton John.
I haven't seen. I know the one you're talking about. I haven't seen it.
I met him around that time, so watching it, I could identify. I was like, he was like that. The actor who played him did an amazing job. Like it was.
I think that Captain Fantastic album just was the perfect. People say Goodbye Yellow Brick Road. I think Captain Fantastic
I agree with you on that,
was such an amazing album.
When I was quite young, of course, when he was really getting into it, I was only about 6 years old, whatever it was.
That's it,
and to me, I'll never forget when I went, look, he's got goldfish in his shoes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Some of the funky stuff he used to wear back then was crazy.
When I met him, like we were at the MCA building, like the main office, and he come off the elevator, like he wasn't going to do a show at this point. Just the stuff he was wearing day to day was bizarre. Like at that time especially, it was like, whoa, like this is. And then when we saw him on stage again, he's in these crazy outfits and stuff.
And the two of them together,
the big glasses.
They wrote some amazing stuff together.
Brilliant.
So let's get going. We got lots to go here, guys.
Yes, we got a lot.
There's a lot here.
Go ahead.
Jerry Garcia of the Grateful Dead was quoted, "We're one of the few adventures you can still have in America."
That's a good quote, actually.
I love that quote.
Yeah, very much so.
1983, go ahead.
Yeah, 1983. Red Hot Chili Peppers take the stage at Kit Kat Club in Hollywood wearing nothing but socks. And they're not on their feet. The group is the first tour, so they can't be choosy about any of the venues that they get. The Kit Kat Club is a strip joint. The girls dance on stage with the band, so Chili's figured, well, it's only fair if they strip down as well. The socks cover their, what do you want to call it, ambassadors?
They're peckers.
You know, I get
ambassadors,
it. I get it.
Yeah.
And nothing more. They used to play shirtless, but this takes their exhibitionism to a whole new level.
Oh boy.
Lead singer Anthony Kiedis got the idea from one of his groupies. She used to send him fold-out rules to measure his member. So when he showed up at his house one day, he greeted her wearing nothing but the sock. This bit becomes a regular part of their act and their signature look. When they released the Abbey Road EP in 1988, their cover photo shows them traversing a crosswalk in this fashion.
Yeah, nothing on, just
another great band that's still around today, still making.
Can you imagine only a groupie would do something like that? Honestly.
Well, if you look at, they played the second Woodstock that came out, and Flea, the bass player, came out wearing nothing. Junk hanging out, running around, just So.
1985, Back to the Future, starring Michael J. Fox as a time-traveling teenager, opens in theaters. When he plays Johnny B. Good in 1955 at the Enchantment Under the Sea dance, he gives birth to rock and roll. In the real-life present, the new generation gets a lesson in Chuck Berry from the scene, and it's one of my favorite all-time movies. I must have seen it a million times.
Me too. I know
every, just like Slapshot and
I still love when Michael J. Fox gets up on there and he's like,
oh, he's giving her.
He's just
They're
giving
all looking
her.
at him like, are you having a seizure?
What?
And God bless him, he's not in great health nowadays.
He's doing well considering it's been many years.
Yeah, but he's such a wonderful Canadian, too. He's a Canadian boy.
Yep.
In 1986, U2 crew member Greg Carroll was killed in a motorcycle accident in Dublin while running an errand for Bono. The song One Tree Hill on the band's Joshua Tree album is dedicated to Carroll, and I knew that. It's a great song, too. You should check it out. One Tree Hill, and it's on Joshua Tree. You can find that on YouTube, probably. And what about 2011, Leah?
Unable to walk since a botched operation 2 years earlier, Little Richard is wheeled in with a piano to perform at a Capitol 4th concert in the National Mall in Washington, D.C. It's his first performance since the operation.
Wow.
I'll do the next one. 1969, customs agents at Toronto International Airport detained Jimi Hendrix after finding a small amount of what they suspected to be heroin and hashish in his luggage. On trial in a Toronto court for drug possession charges, Hendrix claimed that he had only smoked pot 4 times in his life, snorted cocaine twice, and took LSD no more than 5 times, telling the jury that he has now outgrown drugs. They found him not guilty.
And he wasn't a big drug user
No,
guy.
he wasn't.
Like, people all thought, oh, no, he really wasn't actually. So
He was in the military.
Yeah, and you know what?
Remember?
You almost wonder with that. Was it possible if that's exactly how it was?
Yeah, some truth to that. 1964, Mick Jagger, in quotes it said, of the Rolling Stones, like we
you
don't
know it.
Well, he was quoted, I'll
Some
give
don't.
the
Who
Rolling
knows?
Stones about another 2 years. I'm saving for the future. I'll bank all my song royalties for a start. Well, that was 1964.
So that'd be 66.
We're 2023.
And he's
they're
still rocking.
going.
He just got married, or he's getting married
Getting
to a
married.
36-year-old.
Who used to date Keith Richards, but then moved on to Mick.
Yeah.
Yeah,
She
it's-
wanted somebody
it's-
younger.
Yeah.
But the reason it's always got the Bambi name, because you know what? Believe it or not, I have actually had someone at some point through doing this, a younger person go, I know that name. Really, somebody in their teens,
No,
20,
I
early
get
20s,
it.
they don't all know, they know the names, but
That's
affiliating them, they don't always.
That's why I joked about it. So.
yeah, they don't always
Going
affiliate
all
it.
the way back to when Big Daddy was born, 1911.
Mitch
Miller, an influential A&R executive at Columbia Records throughout the 50s and 60s, was born in Rochester, New York. He was really well known for signing Aretha Franklin to her first record deal.
And he had so many hits.
Oh, God,
I'll
yeah.
tell you,
Like,
Mitch
it's
Miller in the
crazy.
40s and 50s, just an incredible entertainer.
So 1959, when I was born there, Big Daddy.
1959, Chris Blackwell, Graham Goodell, and Lindsey Kong found Island Records in Jamaica, taking the label's name from the Harry Belafonte's Islands in the Sun.
Great.
And there's a guy we lost a little while ago, too.
Yeah.
Harry Belafonte, and he was a groundbreaker, Jamaican music. Amazing. 1964, again, the Stones appear on the BBC's Jukebox Jury as panelists when they pass judgment on various records. A review in the Daily Sketch calls them gum-chewing, ill-mannered, ill-humored, illiberal, and illogical jurors. Pain in the ass.
I think they've been actually called worse, you know.
And that's
like-
really, that's before all they're known for drugs. Like
Yeah,
that.
well, yeah, exactly.
Imagine what they thought after.
Grand Funk Railroad, 1969.
1969, Grand Funk Railroad, which formed just a few months earlier, played to a huge crowd at the Atlanta Pop Festival. Lead singer Mark Farner sheds his shirt because of the heat and gets such a reaction from the crowd that he decides to play every show shirtless.
They're a great
And he
band.
did too, for the most part.
I can't get away with
They're not too
don't wanna
around
see-
too
they
much.
don't wanna see
They're not
this.
around anymore, are they, Grand Funk?
He wears shirts more now than he did, but yeah.
They're a great band.
Now,
it. You know,
Here's
so-
a man I love. 1970, Casey Kasem debuts
I
the
am
radio
Casey
show
Kasem.
American Top 40, where he counts down the Billboard hits, the #1 song, Mama Told Me Not to Come by Three Dog Night. He hosts the show until 2004, when Ryan Seacrest takes over. The 3-hour show takes about 18 hours to record and is distributed to 7 radio stations: KDEO in El Cajon, California WMEX in Boston, WPGC in Washington, DC KPGC in Las Vegas, K-Man in San Bernardino.
Bernardino. San Bernardino.
Sorry, yeah.
Bernardino.
Yeah. California, give me that. In California, KHYT in Tucson, Arizona, KPOI in Honolulu, Hawaii. Kasem is a DJ on KRLA in Los Angeles, but that station doesn't carry the show.
Amazing.
Along with the top 40 hits, Kasem throws in interesting bits about each song and plays a few American top 40 extras to fill the time. Later, he adds long-distance dedications, which are requests from listeners dedicating a song to someone special in their lives. The first song played on the show at number 40 is "The End of the Road" by Marvin Gaye.
And he has had a great influence on me because this radio show is really based loosely on his.
I absolutely loved him. I
40
still love it.
because we go back to
a
the
lot
charts.
of shows are really kind of.
Yeah, we're all, but our show especially, we go back to certain. From our radio show, we just play the music from this week in history, from July of 1960 or July of 1985. We go back and. Really, he was one of the greatest influences on me in radio.
Well, and when you look at, they've compared him. I've heard them compare Dick Clark in a different way, but how Dick Clark was kind of the first for radio, for TV, for like the bandstand, for a much broader aspect of this type of thing.
The radio end of it and brought
and
it
live
in,
with the
into
bands.
our video, spectrum.
Yeah.
And don't forget Shadow Stevens as well, who also hosted the American Top 40. And there's a great guy too.
Oh God, yeah.
Who was great. Had great
wasn't he
influence
on
me.
a couple episodes of WKRP?
He was on something on TV. I can't remember exactly what it was, but he's one of those guys with.
Oh, he was the good-looking. Oh, he was
just a good-looking, strong-voiced. Just the voice on the guy would rattle a table. You know what I mean?
I know the feeling. Yes.
Yeah, you talk like that too. Yeah.
2008, the movie Mamma Mia, featuring the music of ABBA and based on the musical, opens in Sweden, where the group attends a screening, briefly reuniting all the members of the band, who directed the original Broadway production of Mamma Mia, is also at the helm for the film adaptation. The jukebox musical, named after ABBA's 1975 chart topper, uses the group's songs to tell a story of a bride-to-be who is Amanda Seyfried, who tries to track down her biological father before her wedding day. And pretty much everybody, I think, seen Mamma Mia for the most part. It became a hugely popular movie. Still
in and out of Broadway and in and out of theaters.
When you're talking about groups, ABBA's up there with anyone
one of my
else.
dad's favorites. He loved the blonde. He was in love with the blonde.
I'm going to do one more here. Hyla Stingy is a Colombian tree frog named after Sting in recognition of his work in the rainforest. The frog spends much of its lifespan in trees, known for its arboreal state. So interesting, because we've had a few of those now, different
bugs
musicians and things that people.
Oh, there's more too. That's only a few.
Yeah,
there's many.
So
for the past 30 years, Iron Maiden have been supported by their famous mascot Eddie, who has appeared on almost all of their album and single covers, as well as in their live shows.
But they don't always look the same.
No.
Eddie is like
evolved. He's evolved.
He changes.
He's evolved.
Eddie moves with time.
I think so.
A little bit of history trivia. July the 5th, 1955, Chuck Berry's song Maybelline is copyrighted in Berry's name alone, but Alan Freed's name is added as a form of payola. And but you know what?
Well, back then, that was how you got your music on the station. It was that time when that happened.
It is.
You can't compare that time to today. Like, everybody's, payola. No, that was how you got your music on the station.
I
Eddie
love
was
Chuck
here.
Berry and I love
Eddie
Alan
was here.
Freed. I think Alan Freed got screwed.
Oh
big
God!
time.
Oh yeah, he was the scapegoat.
And,
right?
it broke
Well, he
his-
was the best known, so who better?
And the thing is, as
Right?
I'm talking as a radio announcer here, he got screwed. He was one of the cornerstones of what we are today.
Yeah.
Alan Freed was and he died. And the thing that pisses off people in radio is that he died a
Penniless.
broken-hearted, penniless
At a young
man.
age, really. He wasn't old.
And he had such a talent, and
He
he was
wasn't
such a
old.
promotion
Oh.
genius. Absolutely amazing.
too bad.
1965, I'll do one. Oh, I got to do Dolly the Sheep too. You got to let me do that one. 1960. What? Dick Clark
Not going
launches a
there.
musical variety show talking about him called Where the Action Is.
Excuse
1965 with Paul Revere and the Raiders in the house as the house band for that show. The show lasts 3 seasons on ABC and features many top musical acts of the year. Of course, he was well known for American Bandstand more than anything else.
Yeah.
So I have no idea what this Dolly the Sheep story is, but I'm going to do it anyway.
You don't?
Dolly the sheep, the first mammal to be
know this
cloned from
one.
an adult cell, is born. She is named after Dolly Parton because the scientists thought the country star was the person most synonymous with mammary glands.
And that's exactly what it it is. That's
I
why.
had no idea.
That's how that sheep that they
That's
created.
That's new. I had no
I
idea.
didn't know that one. I
Didn't
hadn't
you?
heard that one.
Oh
No.
my God, that was
Dolly
all
the
over the
sheep.
map.
Dolly the sheep. You gotta love Dolly Parton. I've never met anyone that didn't love Dolly Parton.
But I love that for the mammary glands, and that's why.
Yeah.
2012, for the second year in a row, Rolling Stars guitarist Ronnie Wood was honored in 2 categories at the annual Arkiva Commercial Radio Awards. The 65-year-old won the Specialist Program of the Year award for his Absolute radio show and saw his weekly guest slot named Best Feature. Absolute also took the Station of the Year award. And one more. Mariah Carey was quoted, apparently, not only do I not do stairs, but I won't walk on carpet, and I refuse to walk on grass. What do I do to get around? Hover?
What is she out of her mind? She really expects.
But that's what people used to say. They used to
out of her
constantly.
mind?
They used to constantly.
Can you
give her a
imagine
break,
working with
man.
somebody like that? How can you work with somebody like that?
Because that's what people were doing all the time. They were knocking her. They were picking on her. You know, oh, she won't walk on a carpet. And da-da-da. So she just finally had a rebuttal and said, so what do I do?
I thought she actually said that.
No, this is people, the
Okay, I
media that would
misread you.
constantly put crap out about her. So that's what she's saying. What did I do? Hover?
Oh, I thought she actually said that to somebody.
No.
Like
The rebuttal to all the crap.
Ringo
she went
Starr, his first job was a barman. Eh?
Yeah.
Barman.
Keeping with the Beatles.
Mr. Starkey, you're a barman. You behave as such as a barman now. You're not a Beatle yet. 1957.
And I love the fact he took Starkey and just put it to Star.
Yeah.
You know, it was just
It's his birthday today, I think.
Yesterday was.
Our Beatles show host was talking about it.
Staying with the Beatles, 1957, Paul McCartney and John Lennon meet for the first time at the Village Fete in Liverpool suburb of Woolton, where Lennon's group, the Quarrymen, are performing. As the Quarrymen were setting up their evening performance, McCartney, eager to impress Lennon, picked up a guitar and played 20 Flight Rock, which is a band
great song.
we were playing all the time.
That's a great song.
By Eddie Cochran, and Bebop-a-Loo-Bop by Gene Vincent.
Bebop-a-loo,
Lennon was
my
impressed, and even
baby.
more so when McCartney showed Lennon and Eric Griffiths how to tune their guitars, something they had been paying somebody else to do for them. When they met again, Lennon asked McCartney to join his band, and it went.
That was it.
There you go. That was the footsteps in the sand, so to speak.
In 1977, performing at Olympic Stadium in Montreal on the final stop of Pink Floyd's first stadium tour, Roger Waters spits on an unruly fan and execrates the crowd for setting off fireworks. The experience inspires their next album, The Wall. Bet you didn't know this. Waters is performing the gentle acoustic number Pigs on the Wing, but the crowd is more interested in mayhem. The fan, who gets a gob in the face, is screaming and climbing up on the stage. The fireworks are the last straw. For fuck's sake, stop letting off fireworks and shouting and screaming, Waters says. I'm trying to sing this song. Oh, what a bizarre story. After the show, Waters thinks about the barrier that comes between the band and the audience. He imagines a huge wall in front of the stage, an image he sketches out and starts to discuss. The concept becomes the basis for the next Pink Floyd album. What was that?
Massive album.
The Wall, which explores this disconnect. Now, some
somebody
artists
put
love
in
to
the
see
new
waves
Toby
of
Jones.
people enjoying the music in a stadium
know what
setting,
you
but
mean. Yeah.
Waters would rather have the audience engage with the band in more intimate arenas. When touring for The Wall, he insists on indoor venues and an elaborate stage show where his physical wall is built in front of the band, driving home the concept. The production is a financial sinkhole, but money, so they say, is the result of more of all evil, actually. But when you think about it, The Wall was conceived in Montreal, in Canada. Didn't know that.
Yeah.
Didn't know that.
And I remember when it came out, because I was all over it, and my dad came home from work one day and walked in and handed it to me when it first came out. I was like, no, really? But like I said, every time he bought these albums afterwards, I think he regretted it, because I had a stereo in my room. I was only 10, 11 years old. Realistic, the speakers, the whole 9 yards. Not even repeat, it was loud.
Yeah, oh, that too.
2003.
So 2003.
Dixie.
The Chicks performed a concert at Dallas American Airlines Center despite an anonymous threat that group member Natalie Maines would be shot on stage. After the controversy regarding her comments about President George W. Bush and the Iraq War, I remember that, Maines had a police escort to and from the show and then directly to the airport.
Wow.
I remember when that was going on because they
yeah.
did interviews with her. And
You might as well do one more there, quickies.
so 2011, Pete Doherty was facing another prison sentence after allegedly breaking into a shop in Regensburg, Germany earlier this year. The owners of the music shop from which the Libertines singer allegedly stole a guitar and record were said to be pressing charges against him. The Sun newspaper reported that Doherty admitted to smashing the shop window, but says he didn't remember stealing anything. He was drunk at the time. Doherty was currently serving 6 months in a UK jail for cocaine possession.
I wasn't drunk. I was on coke, man. Like,
I don't remember, man. What do you want?
I get another Beatles. During
It's Beatle night for
1963, on a recommendation by George Harrison, Dick Rowe, head of A&R at Decca Records, and the man who turned down the Beatles, went to see the Rolling Stones play at Crawdaddy Club in London. The band is signed to the label within a week.
Can you imagine turning down the Beatles and then finding out?
Yeah, oh yeah.
But I think they did end up connecting after the fact. But I don't remember. I don't remember how that
Decca
happened.
Records split, so that happened. So the rights ended up going. And that was the thing back at that time, you know, in the 60s and the early 70s, all these record labels were doing this and doing that, and then they merged, and then they broke up, and then, yeah, it was just like, you know, it was like being hooked to a swingers club.
And I didn't know this either about Jimi Hendrix. Wait.
Oh, prior to his rise in fame, Jimmy had recorded 24 singles as a backing guitarist with American R&Bs such as the Isley Brothers and Little Richard and
I
many
wonder which
more.
singles they were on.
And you can there's many photos.
There's photos of them.
Oh
there's
yeah,
tons of them.
really young Jimmy in a suit,
Yeah.
dressed like the Isley Brothers, and
The most incredible thing in rock and roll music, and one of the greatest rock and roll records of all time, was never a hit. And it was theirs. It was called Shout Part 2.
Yeah.
Come on. It was featured in Animal House.
Yeah,
It was
oh,
featured
yeah.
But that, you know, the
forgot about
Beatles
that.
covered it. Everybody covered it after. But the very best, if you haven't heard the version by the Isleys, baby, you got to get some headphones on and put them on.
Isley.
And
I
I'll
love
Come on.
Isley.
And I'll bet you Jimmy was on the background.
I
playing
bet you
guitar.
he was.
Yeah.
I bet you he was. I love the Isley Brothers.
You
I
do.
love Little Richard too.
I
I
love
don't know which
Motown,
singles on
period.
Little Richard he
Rhythm
was
and Blues
on.
and Motown. Oh
I'm gonna have to look that up. You got me intrigued now. I want to know which singles he
Got 'em
was
going.
on with Little Richard. Seriously.
Yeah, look it up.
You know, it's like a fat kid in a candy store now. You know, you got me going.
Good.
So here we go. 1968, the Yardbirds disband immediately after a gig in Luton, England. Jimmy Page begins forming what will become Led Zeppelin,
Oh yeah.
which is her band. Okay. Mine's the Beatles, I guess. Hers is. Whose is yours? Who's your band? Your number one.
My number one go-to is Van Halen.
Van Halen. Okay. Well, that's a good mix. Amanda, if you had to pick, which one would it be for you?
From what era?
Oh God.
Just
here
what
she
is your
goes.
number one?
Your
Any
number
era.
one.
Your era.
She
Actually,
loves
right
everything.
Now, I'm into Pop Evil.
Pop Evil. There you go. Into some
I-
current stuff. What a
But
mix.
overall,
Thing
what
was-
if you had to look back? What would your absolute favorite be
I think
from
she's gonna
when
say
you were born till now?
she's gonna say Boney M because that's what her mom used to play.
See, I heard Van Halen. I heard Van Halen in 1977, way before a lot of other people did, and because they really didn't make it big until 1978. And when I heard their stuff, I was like in people's faces, and people were like, "Oh no." Van Halen changed what we call metal music today.
Yeah.
Like they were a big part of what metal music was. Even guys like Ozzy Osbourne and because that was their first gig when they got picked up. Gene Simmons from Kiss found them in a bar in California, got them on stage before Black Sabbath on a tour. Third show on the tour, Black Sabbath went, "We are not following this band." They were that good. And I was listening to them at the time. They still didn't really have a lot of radio airplay at that time, and I'm listening to it going, "Holy fuck, this is going to change music."
And they did. I
And
mean,
it did.
their version of Pretty Woman, that's probably one of my favorite all-time
Yeah.
songs.
Even
The covers they did. Even.
Girl,
Jump.
you really got me now.
Jump.
You got me so.
Yeah, you really
They
got me.
covered
That's
Oh.
all through high school. That Van Halen in high
You had
school
that
was
that-
a big party band.
You had the 6x9s in the
How are we
back
doing for
window
time,
of the
Amanda,
car,
on the
and
show?
You were cranking it, so.
We only got a few minutes left, so.
29:50.
Oh, we're doing all right. So anyway, in 1999, it was reported that to attract
No.
young people
Oh, okay,
to their
yeah,
mobile vans, UK ice cream sellers would start to play pop hits as music instead of traditional chimes. Spice Girls and Oasis hits would be the first ones played.
Spice Girls I could see, but Oasis, that seems interesting.
Exact opposite end
Yeah,
of the
like,
spectrum.
interesting. Like, wow.
Did you want me to do one more, or do you want to do this one?
You take it.
I don't care.
Leah.
Go ahead, 2007, Leah.
2007, the Live Earth concerts took place around the world with the police closing the day's events in New Jersey. Concerts were organized by former U.S. Vice President Al Gore as a part of his campaign to heal the planet. Rock stars from around the world performed to hundreds of thousands of fans to highlight climate change. Concerts were held in Washington, Rio de Janeiro, Johannesburg, London, Hamburg, Tokyo, Shanghai, and Sydney. Madonna brought London's Live Earth concert to a close, playing a song she had written for the event. Other major acts who appeared included Snow Patrol, Red Hot Chili Peppers, Genesis, the Beastie Boys, James Blunt, Foo Fighters, Duran Duran, UB40, Snoop Dogg, Enrique Iglesias, Crowded House, and Joss Stone.
Wow.
But that Enrique Iglesias guy is just, he's such a good-looking guy.
I get
He's just such a good-looking guy, and then he's got a voice to go with it.
Throw him
like,
out of my house.
Well, exactly. I
I'm
don't care if you're gay or whatever. The guy is just really good-looking, man.
I'm mistaken for him in the mall all the time. And I
Like,
tell
he
you,
outdoes
ladies,
his dad.
Oh God, yeah.
There's
way-
no
Oh,
competition.
His
No,
dad
his-
had the voice,
his
and
dad-
his dad's a short little guy too.
But you
like,
know what?
so-
His dad, and I'm not a gal, his dad was better looking.
No, he wasn't.
No,
Sorry.
Oh, come on.
No, God, no.
You're outnumbered 3-1 on
Enrique.
that
All
one.
the girls I've loved before.
Enrique,
No.
I'd watch him take his shirt off. I'll tell you that right now. I'd watch him take his shirt off, dude. And
Hair
then-
standing up. Look at
Yeah,
that.
and then, like I said, the voice to go with it.
I can't.
Just, it's,
Phew.
it's, yeah.
You're
Yeah,
gonna have a lot-
No, I'm totally heterosexual. That's not it. But yeah, he's just a good-looking guy.
But when you were a kid, you looked like Greg Brady. And if you got to see the pictures of him when he was young, when he was like 11, 12, 13, 14, he could have been on the freaking Brady Bunch.
Oh,
He was such a cutie
I
pie.
had a lot of girlfriends.
You
So,
probably broke
I
a
had a lot.
million hearts,
I
didn't
had-
you, when you were 14, 15?
I had, a lot.
Yeah,
when
there
I was
you
in
go.
school.
I told you. Brady Bunch.
That's all gone now. Like even the girlfriend I have now, people ask me, "Oh, what are you doing with him?" I'm like, "Oh, crap."
Well, your girlfriend's good looking.
Well, exactly.
So,
A lot
there
better
you go.
looking than I am.
Yeah, of course, no doubt about it. You might as well do the last story there.
Last story here. We got 2015 climate scientists from 5 leading universities found. I actually read this and thought this was very interesting. 163 of Bob Dylan's 542 songs reference the climate.
Yeah.
Almost a third of them, making him the musician most likely to mention the weather in his lyrics.
But
The Beatles came at number 2, mentioning the weather 48 of their 308 songs that they wrote.
Well,
So that's interesting. That's very cool to.
there's
to
a
see
lot of
that.
weather songs, though.
Well, yeah.
You could
'cause
put hours and hours of music together
Even
all
today,
about
that's all
weather.
people talk about when you first meet somebody. Oh, how's this weather?
Blowing in the wind.
Hot
Blowing
enough
in the
for
wind
you?
is one.
Cold enough for you?
Here comes the sun.
There you go.
Do-do-do-do.
Great show, though, guys.
Yeah.
Here comes the sun.
Now
I
we're
got
brought
through
to you.
it.
We're brought to you by this week Mix 105, and we have a strong weekend this weekend. And can we bring that up on
BC,
the? We want to tell. Now Austin works very hard at running a community radio station in Kokomo, Indiana.
And helping us too.
And helping us, and he's part of our air radio network, and where we all work together to
Thanks,
help each
Austin.
other. So we do the morning show, the Top 40 Timeline mornings. I'm heard every morning in Kokomo, and I'm very proud that they have stuck with us now for 5 years. We've been on the air, I think, believe.
I know. I keep thinking of that, too.
Yeah. But great station too. Check it out, Mix 105, and just one of our many radio stations along the top 40 timeline. And we just signed up with a new station in Windsor, Detroit, who will sponsor the show next week.
Awesome.
It's the great voice of the great.
Oh, I didn't know that. Now I'm learning
There
something.
you go.
Please hashtag Macy Strong Weekend. That's where we want you to go and check things out, see what's going on, and if you can donate, please do.
Because
we're talking kids here, man.
like she could be a few months once the work is done that needs to be done for her. I was reading, and they're hoping
And
that
Macy,
by
we want
end
to
of
tell
August
you
or
that,
something. I forget what.
Get in here,
timing was,
Amanda,
but-
because we're going to sign off
We're
here.
going to sign off.
So-
We love you, Macy, and we wish you all the best this weekend, sweetie. And
Absolutely.
our team at Mix 105 are going to take care of you this weekend.
Good
Get some
job,
donations going in.
Uh,
All right? And thanks for joining us. It's the worldwide community one, isn't it, that we got to do that I can't remember?
Uniting community worldwide.
There we go, right there. And it's now the Mike Devine chimes, as originally written by Mark Panopoulos, of course. We have to give mentions of,
Always.
songwriters. That's right. Have a great weekend. This is Mandy. That's Amanda.
Have a great
Hi,
week,
guys.
everybody.
Yeah.
Stay safe.
See you
and
next
we'll catch
week.
you on the B side.
See you next week.
Pecker.
See what I go through? What we go through?
Okay.
How come this has got stuff all over it? It needs to be wiped down. It's like somebody spit.